Hey everybody, I'm Aaron Simmons. This is Philosophy for Where We Find Ourselves, February 26, 2024. Thanks so much for watching. Now, I'm making this video for two reasons. It's a kind of special video. Number one, my wife recently, we were out on a hike and she said, hey, I saw a recent video that you did and I was confused by how we put it into practice. Now, all of my videos are an attempt to show how philosophical ideas can gain traction in our everyday lives. So today I'm going to be really explicit about how we can put big ideas into practice daily. And second, I'm getting ready to keynote a breakfast briefing event for the Kim S. Miller Family Enterprise Institute at Anderson University. And I was honored to be invited by the executive director, Bechtold, to come speak to them. And so everybody coming to that event is getting a signed copy of my new book, Camping with Kierkegaard. And so the content I'm going to do today are some of the big ideas of that book put into practice as applied to questions of family-run businesses. So, to my wife, I hope this is helpful for showing how philosophy matters, and to everybody who's either going to that event or interested in going to that event, I'll have Brad's email in the description below. This will hopefully give you just a taste of what we're going to talk about together. So, I'm standing here at a campsite. This campsite is where my son and I were last weekend. We went camping together, had an amazing time, and while camping together, it gave me the opportunity to reflect on a variety of different things that philosophy can teach us about how to live virtuous lives and run compelling businesses. The first point that I want to make is that when we go camping with each other, metaphorically, we learn important facets about where each other's limits are. So when I was out here with my son, I'm setting up the tent. I said, hey man, can you go chop some wood? And of course he goes off and begins to chop wood. The problem is I hadn't taught him the right skill set to be able to be effective at chopping the wood. So I've got to entrust him with responsibility only once I have bestowed upon him the education, the wisdom, the knowledge, the skill to be able to then go do that thing well. In business, we do the same thing all the time. Are we entrusting people with responsibility without actually preparing them with the skill set required to be effective at the task? Second, while we were out the other day camping, we had a fire pit. You can see this one in front of me here. Had an amazing time together. But my son, for some reason, really wanted to cook on the actual fire. I told him, dude, I've got this amazing camp stove. There's no need to cook on the fire. It takes forever. He said, no, I want to learn how to do it, Dad. And it turns out it created a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to sit by the campfire. It slowed us down, and we had an amazing night as a result of my intentions being interrupted by new opportunities. So part of what I want you to think about as well is in your business, are you realizing that sometimes the quickest way to something might not be the best way to get there? By cooking over the campfire, we actually had a better night, even though it slowed down a little bit of the process. Because it turns out that the outcome, the success, the achievement is not ultimately what defines value. What defines value more deeply, especially in a family-run business, is the relationships by which the business's identity continues. It's not simply about product, but it's about the people who make this thing what it is. Sitting around the campfire, cooking corn on the cobs wrapped in tinfoil and some vegetables on the iron skillet, my son and I were able to better enjoy each other, and the food became almost the afterthought. It was an amazing time to learn something philosophically sitting at the campfire. Now, let's head over to the trails, and I'm going to give you two more things that we can also put into practice from philosophical ideas, and we can learn to be better at our businesses by going camping together as families. So here we are out on the trails doing a little hiking. Yesterday, I went hiking with my son after our camping trip, and the whole way up the mountain, all he did was complain. It was too steep. It was too hard. It was too frustrating. And then he twisted his ankle, not severe. It wasn't an injury, but just enough to make him even more frustrated by having to do all that work. Now, this confronted me with a question. How can I encourage him forward such that he doesn't miss out on the view that we're working up the trail in order to participate in order to see? And this is a hard question when it comes to life and business. Encouragement that doesn't stifle often can fail to invite people to understand places where they can improve. Just applause misses the importance of critique geared toward excellence. So I told my son, man, part of what we're doing is like mountain bikers say, we're earning the downhill. We're earning the view. This work we're putting in, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, but as we keep going, we're making that granola bar taste better at the top than any meal you've ever had. And so when we as business leaders encourage people forward, it doesn't mean that we avoid critique, but it means that the critique continues to propel them in the right direction. This takes humility from us as leaders, but it also requires that we foster listening as a mode of relational virtue. Being invested in each other means knowing how to walk the trails so we all get where we're going, not so we leave people behind as we set personal records. So our final thought here about what going camping can teach us as business leaders for, in particular, family-run businesses is the idea of faithfulness. So we've already talked about how success can be a kind of illusion that causes us to miss out on the personal investments and also causes us to forget about the importance of critique and encouragement going together as we strive for excellence. But what is it that we replace it with? Well, in Camping with Kierkegaard, I try to argue that faithfulness should be a way of life. And there's no better way to understand that than here by a trout stream. When we go fishing, it's easy to think that the point of fishing is catching the fish. And don't get me wrong, I'm all in on catching a lot of fish. But when I take my son fishing, what I'm trying to do is invite him to realize that the real goal, though we hope to catch fish, the real goal is becoming someone who prioritizes fishing as a way of life. It's about risking ourselves in a direction that we're okay with having defined who we are. In other words, we are right now who we are becoming. Are you okay with yourself? Are you okay with how the business is and looks? Who are you becoming? Where is the business going? Are we invested more in catching the fish and putting it on the wall, or in inviting other people to learn, to prioritize the right value set so that they spend more times near rivers, in tents, sleeping in sleeping bags, looking at the stars and cooking over the campfire? When we go camping together, we can invite each other to be more invested in why the human condition matters. Family businesses are special because they are rooted in relational connections as the ground for business practice. So, come to this breakfast briefing. Think with me about how going camping together as a family can teach us to have businesses that thrive and become people who find contentment and joy along the way. I hope to see you at the breakfast briefing of the Kim S. Miller Family Enterprise Institute at Anderson University. Again, I'll have a link in the description to Brad Bechtold, the executive director. Reach out to him if you're interested in learning more information. And for everybody else, thanks as always for watching. Please subscribe here on YouTube and check out my Substack over at Philosophy in the Wild. I'll see you next time, unless a piano falls on our heads.